Tanse Nito Temtek. It's Cathy Richardson here, and I'm going to do a second follow-up uh, interview or conversation today with Pietro Barbetta, um, clinical anthropologist and therapist from Italy, Northern Italy. And so I'll be back with him in just one sec. Hi, everyone. So I'm here again with Pietro Barbetta from Northern Italy. Last time you said I'm a clinical anthropologist, which is really interesting. We don't have that here. I don't think so much. And welcome. And do you want to start by just telling me, has spring arrived in Northern Italy yet?
Yeah. It is amazing, no? When springs arrive, particularly here in the north of Italy and in the south of France, because and Switzerland, of course, because here winter is cold. Winter is pretty cold, and spring comes sometimes as this time as a switch. No, so one day you wear the coat and you are working, like this with the hat and everything, the scarf and so, and the day later you see in the garden your trees flowering, the smell of the tree of the flowers, and the sunny days, that's turning the springtime, the winter time into springtime. That's fantastic. That's this year was amazing. It's not like this any year, but this year was a very amazing. No, maybe it's not the weather, but it's me.
Well,
But
hopefully that's a good metaphor for therapy, maybe brief therapy that suddenly, thing you can wake up
yeah,
and feel
well,
differently.
well, let's hope so. I don't believe anymore in brief therapy in
No.
general. But anyway,
No, exploration and thinking and sense making, it can
yeah,
take some time, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was intrigued by our last conversation, and I was thinking about some of it. And you had said that pain cannot be expressed verbally.
Yeah,
And that really struck me. And then, of course, there's lots of different kinds of pain, right?
yeah.
And I was thinking then about a Bateson quote about unlisted languages. Lynn Hoffman talked about that. Sort of like
Language.
you can't express it. And I also started wondering then, is it a social taboo to talk about pain? Is it something that people, they're not interested in hearing about, or they stigmatize? What
Yeah.
what do you think? Because I know that you have had surgery recently and you've been living with some aches and pains. Yeah.
Yeah. Recently I got, it is 1 year now, I got chronic pain, and now realize that it was something that comes from esophagus spasm. So I'm taking this, and sorry if during the conversation I will have to stop for a while because it's very hard sometimes. And I take these pills because my son was a medical doctor, say, well, it is 1 year that you have it. It's not the heart because you checked. It's not the bones, no, the it's because it would be different and so on. So probably is an esophagus spasm. So take this, and I'm taking this, and it is going down. But when you have it, it's it's like having, a knife that goes inside here
Mhm.
in the here in this part of your body, no? Here, and it's terrible. It's terrible. You cannot. even breathe, you have to sit down, you have to lay down sometimes. It lasts 30 seconds
Mhm.
or 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Then it goes down slightly and it disappears in 2 minutes completely. But it is something that is very, very annoying. And it's a taboo uh, between me and myself in some way, not first of all. It is a taboo inside yourself in some way, no? And then, of course, it is difficult to express this to other people. So if you are with other people, today I had a phone call with a person who is attending therapy with me because she was talking about her fiancé that is going to go to therapy somewhere else and so on. She was asking me if she was right to send him to a colleague and so on. And suddenly, when I was talking, I had this pain. It's difficult, no? It's something that it's embarrassing, no? Because you cannot talk at the same time. You don't want to make the other person know that you are in pain in this moment. Something that is, something that is not to be it is like this, not to be rude.
Yeah.
I don't want to be rude with the other, so I don't say that I have pain in this moment because it's something that apparently means that you don't want to talk to the other, that you are, breaking the link of the colloquium, of the conversation, no? And this is something like this is the structure of the fact that in some way chronic pain, particularly chronic pain, because chronic pain comes back and back and back, and it's a taboo in some way. No, it's a taboo. Not because the other can say, "Oh, I'm sorry about it." No, not everybody is saying, "Well, fuck you off," because you have pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, people are kind, no? Usually, except some president of the United States and so on. But in general, no, people tend to be kind, no? And so it's not that, but it's in the moment in which you have to interact with the other, no? And I think this comes from, yes, what we were talking about last time when we were talking about the Emily Dickinson's poem, no? Pain as an element of blank, no? As an element of blank. Or the fantastic book by Hélène Scarry, no? The body in pain, no? In which she said, yes, the same thing. So there is a hole in the language. So in the language, you cannot express what you what you want to express, what you would like to express. It's not expressible. It's not. It doesn't. It is impossible to give sense. No, I wrote this book now isn't going to be translated in English language without sense, no? And in this, I try to work also with pain as an expressible thing. So a thing that arrives, but it's senseless, totally senseless. Mhm. And when you're aging, now I'm 70, so when you're aging, it's more frequent, no? It's more frequent because you have this, you have that, you have the body is going to change and to become older. So you have a different kind of situation in which it's difficult to deal with. Uh, yeah.
Mhm. Well, it kind of it makes me think of a number of different things, but one of them is you know, who who are in your life club that can understand that you are in pain and can be there with you on that
Yeah, yeah,
level. And of course, that comes from a conversation with you and Lynn Hoffman and
yeah,
the man who was going to hell. And
yeah,
that idea that if you are in some kind of hellish state because you are in pain, who could
yeah,
accompany you there?
yeah.
Who could be there with you? Do you want to talk a little bit about that idea? Because it's so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. Well, there are people that are, fantastic in this way. First of all, Marisa is the woman I live with since 45 years,
Mhm.
more than 45 years. It was 76, so 49 years. 49 years we live together. And she is, well, precious for this, no, because she was helping me in many situations like this. Of course, also the contrary, but I'm talking about my pain, and so many times she was helping me to try to recover. She was helping me. She was even talking with practitioners. Sometimes when you feel pain, it's not easy to talk with the medical doctor and to say exactly just because of it, no, because sometimes the other can understand your pain better than you. That's relational, no, this is
Mhm.
particularly focus on systemic practice. No, when I do therapy, for example, sometimes with people with pain, if there is a couple or there is a son or a daughter or or a father or a mother or a friend, I ask them what, how do you how do you describe her pain? How do you describe his pain? Because sometimes it's helpful, it's viable for the other to listen to the description of the pain by the relative or the friend and so on. No? In this sense, I think that friendship is very important. So I have few friends
Mm.
that also are very precious in this sense here in Italy, but even somewhere else. For example, uh, a very close friend of mine lives into the United States. He's an Argentinian guy, and I know you know. I'm sure you know him because he's a very famous family therapist. It's Marcelo Pacman, and we have a friendship since well 35, 35 years. And one friend of mine was also Lynn Hoffman
Mhm.
at the time when I went there, no, and we shared these conversations about. She was used to do a kind of tertulia, no, at her home, and sometimes when I was in Massachusetts, I was going there. I went there 2 3 times, and it was nice. No, it was nice because there are a group of friends over there. I remember Mary Olson. I remember Sheila McNamee. I remember few friends that were attending this, Marcelo Pacman, Judy Davis, that were there. And it was nice. It was very, very nice. And here in Italy also, I have friends that gather around at my house or someone else's house or my office, and we talk about and my students and my precious students. They are younger, and they give you the enthusiasm to continue.
I've seen them on Facebook with you, a picture of you with your students having.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This year there was a this course at university that was in English, was fantastic. People coming from every country abroad, like Iran, Turkey, Canada, United States, wherever, Greece. That's fantastic. It was fantastic. It was a course that was very, very nice because, the students were very, in some way, eager to understand, but in another way, they were, very, very well prepared. They knew things. So when I was mentioning, for example, Deleuze, I didn't have to explain who was Deleuze and so on and so on and so on, because they added something. No, well, Deleuze is the one of the smooth space, straight space, body without organs, and so on and so on. So it was amazing for me to find students, 30 years old, something like this, that were so bright, it was fine. It was a very good. And then at the end of the course, we went together to the Turkish restaurant together, and the picture on Facebook is from there. It's from
Oh,
there.
lovely. Lovely. Hmm. So, another thing that I think about is this idea of repetition. So, repetition exists in nature. We have cycles and days and nights, and um, but when it comes to people, if you tell the same story over again, some people they lose patience. They'll say, "Oh, that guy, he's always talking about his pain," or that woman, she's always talking about her bad relationship, but she won't leave, and then people get disinterested in it.
Yeah,
So, as a therapist,
yeah.
how do you see that repetition if people come in and they're telling you um, about their problem, and to other people it would sound the same? How do you work with that so you see that it's never
Well,
the same,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is well, it depends on the situation. So it depends on the situation. But there are situations in which, well, you have to find inside the repetition the difference. No, this is very important because life is a repetition. No,
Mhm.
as Nietzsche was saying, no, the eternal return of the identical, no? So life in some ways a repetition, no? Of what is going on, no? It's a repetition. I come back home, it's the same home. I have the same conversation with my friends, with my mate, and so on, with my children, with my granddaughters, and so on, and the same more or less. No, I see my granddaughter, 3 years old, and I have the same conversation. Oh, how are you? And so, and let's play this and that. And I know that she prefers to do something and not other things, so I have to repeat. And so, but in any repetition, there is always some singularity. So something that is what Dun Scotto was saying, exati. I don't know how to pronounce it in English. Exati, no? Ecetas in Latin, no? Something that is an exception.
Right.
No?
Mhm.
Anytime that this is the singularity, the fact that when you face a situation that is usual, in general, in any situation that is a repetition, there is always a difference. No, in difference and repetition, when I read it in French, no, Deleuze was saying petit différence, no, petit, so small difference. And I remember at the very beginning of my work as a psychologist, no, I've been working with nursery schools, so children between three months and 3 years. And I remember I was a Piagetian, no psychologist at the time. I was young and so on. There was this tiny balls in wood, no, and they were colored, no, and they were big or small and red or green and so on. So the exercise with the child was give me all the big red balls, and this child was giving me four balls, but actually there were five. And I was waiting, no, for, and she didn't. And after the end, I say, but there is this one, and she was watching at this and say, no, this is different.
Mhm.
Why? There is a tiny point here.
Oh,
There was a point in the wood, no, a kind of small, you know, yeah, which make this different. So I understood the petit différence, you know, the small difference, which is something that you cannot see if you are inside the categories. No, the categories don't watch. Or for categories, the difference is the generation. No, in Aristotelian Porphyrium tree, no, everything that is not putting possible to put inside became a degeneration, or like the abomination man of the snow. this kind of
yeah, the
thing, this
abominable.
kind of monster, no?
Right.
that
Yeah,
humanity invented, no, just to. Mhm.
yeah. Tom Anderson called like the difference that makes a difference, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh-huh. So would you pick up that thread then and say, today when you talk about your pain, you're mentioning that it feels, like the color red, or and last time it was more, or like, would you explore that?
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you mean something that is connected to the colors, no? Something that is the pain could be connected with the colors.
Well, that's just one example that I wanted to show that
Yeah.
it might be a little bit different, or a different temperature, or like you said, the weather changes and your body
Yeah,
feels different.
yeah, my body is changing also. Yes, my body is changing. I feel myself younger when it's springtime. I don't know why,
Okay,
but I
yeah.
feel myself younger. And yeah, the color is changing. For example, in springtime, I have this the sensation that the color I would prefer, the color I deal with, are in between. So, for example, rose,
Mhm.
then red, no, or the light blue instead of blue. So colors that are the colors that you see during springtime. So the flowers, the white or rose flower you see, or the the beige flowers that you see, or beige nature that you see around, no, something like this, something that is in between, no, in between brown and black, or in between brown and white, or in between red and white, and so on. So this kind of uh, changing colors. Uh, this is what springtime means to me in
Mhm.
terms of colors.
So you can pick up in the conversation on the relationship between the person, their body, what they're feeling, and the outside world, the environment. And so, even if they start off saying, yeah, my shoulder still hurts today, or my chest still hurts sometimes, um, but that little difference is in the warmth, or the colors you prefer, or something different that then circles back into the person, like a cybernetic or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. This is one of the things, yes, the color, but also the way in which even the sound, even the smell, so other kind of things. No, we are used to talk about colors because the the sight, the view, is for we share as animals, as human being, as animals, we share that the the sight is the most important sense, but we have to be connected also with other things like the sound, for example, no, the sound, or the smell. No, there are people like me. No, I don't see very much. No, if I keep off my spectacles, what is going on is that the sound becomes or the smell become more important, no, because I don't see very well. So and it is amazing because if you see the biography of someone, for example, I told you know that I was uh, when I was young, I was doing philosophy. In philosophy, I was doing my final dissertation on Nietzsche, no? And when I was studying the biography of Nietzsche, I realized why he was talking a lot, was writing a lot about music, no? Schopenhauer, Wagner, and then Bizet and the other, author that at that time were very important, and less about painting.
Mhm.
Well, Nietzsche was almost blind.
Mhm.
And at the time, there was no this kind of, technology of putting spectacles on your nose and so on. Yeah, there was something, but it was not so technological advanced like now and so on. So it was developing the sense of listening to, or even the sense of smell, because or the body sense, in a way that was amazing for many aspects. No, when he talks about the great reason of the body, there is a part of Nietzsche works in which he says that the small reason of the mind and the big reason of the body. No, the big reason of the body.
Yeah.
Now, the body has a big reason, no? And in some way, if the body is the reason, the pain is the unconscious of the body in some way, no?
Hmm. Do you mean that the pain is trying to tell you something and using uh, the way it can create feeling in you to
Yeah,
give you some information?
yeah. The pain is telling you something. The
Mhm.
pain is telling you did this, but don't go ahead to do this because of it. And those are the reason because why people change their job, their mate, their friends, and so on. The change is sometimes is connected with the fact that the pain is telling in there is no it is not you know there is a with Marcelo Pacman, we were talking about the gastric pain. No, what is the gastric pain? The gastric pain has a meaning, yes, has a meaning, but it is not a meaning that is in the grammar structure of the language. No, because the grammar of the stomach is the gastric acid. So it's something different.
Mm.
And so, no, the meaning of my pain here in now is connected with the something that is a spasm, so it's a contraction. And what does it mean, this contraction? No, it's amazing for me. I have to sound, and there is no an answer.
Mhm.
So it is not like in we were talking about brief therapy. In brief therapy, there is this insight. No, oh, I understand insight, and I change. No, there is. It's not like this.
Uh-huh.
It's something that there is not. Yes, I'm taking these pills now, but is there is not an answer. These pills are just reducing my pain when the pain is unbearable. At the same time, there is not, a meaning. This is not a meaning. That is not, my pain is like this. Why? Because of many different things. This is the complexity, no? Now there is a woman. from Buenos Aires, Maria Esther Cabañas, that is talking about the aesthetic of complexity. We have been talking about theory of complexity, theory of complexity, theory of complex. And she said, well, I would prefer to talk about aesthetic of complexity.
So I don't know if this is directly related, but tell me about how you see the relationship between what the body's doing, or I could say like physical pain, and then emotional pain, perhaps from being misunderstood or whatever,
Yeah,
and then psychological pain, trying to think our way out of how to deal with the situation.
yeah. Well, let me say in advance one thing that is very important to me to try
Mhm.
to figure out the relationship between me, my thought, and body,
Mhm.
which is that we when we talk about body, we are used to talk about the medical body. So the medical body is an organism. The medical body is an organism in which any organ has its own function, and it is supposed to work this way, no? For the reproduction, for the surviving, and for whatever. Now there are involuntary muscles and so on, these kind of things. No, there is a heart, there is a stomach, and so on. There is a liver, and so and so. There are lungs, and so they have their name, and any name has its own function.
Mhm.
Recently, I was thinking at the organs of the body as a subject.
Yeah.
What does it mean? They have their own psyche in some way, no? So psyche is not just something that it belongs to to you as a whole, but there are minds inside of any part of the body, in any organ of the body, and you found them when they descend. So when they don't want to function, no, the same way they are supposed to do, no?
Right.
And this dissension is very interesting because in this, sorry, I interrupt you. You were telling something.
No, no, go, keep going. Yeah.
In this dissension is very interesting because even the name you give to the your internal organ are different in different moments, no? And some are, the medical, no, for example, the word stomach, it's a medical word that means a part of your body that has a function, no, and so and so and so.
Mhm.
But you can talk about belly, for example, belly. What is belly? Belly, well, stomach is belly. Well, maybe is a part of the belly is the stomach. The esophagus may be the liver also. What else? I don't know. The lungs? I don't know. Then there is the word guts, no, the guts.
Yes.
It's another, no? And so on. And then I realized this not just because I was analyzing this theoretically, but I realized it in a conversation with a person, no, with a person who was attending therapy. She started to talk about my guts and the fact that I don't have this, I have that, and so on. A long conversation about the fact that we were in a certain moment of our conversation, we were in the wood of the organs, as the organs were trees or animals of the wood, and that we were in the wood of the organs, and we were talking about, listen, over there is a guts, and there is a belly. Oh, a stomach over there, and something like there is a hare, there is a fox, there is a wolf over there. No, there are animals that have their own, subjectivation, their own subjectivity, and then can dissent. No, this is a way of, you know, dealing with the body, which is different from the medical one. But it is, but there are many difference. For example, a painter. No, let's talk about Michelangelo. No, Michelangelo was painting a body, a perfect body, because he was doing an anatomy of the body that is different from the one of the medical doctor, but was very, very rigorous at the same time. No, I was criticizing Raffaello because Raffaello wasn't able to deal with some part of the muscles here or something like this. No, so in some way, no, that's interesting. No, the fact that our body can have different kind of approaches. No, the dominant one is the medical one because it is the rationality, the technology is the one that has been developed by the technology.
Mhm. Yeah, this is really resonating, and like you say, I don't there isn't the language really for it, but I what I'm getting is inside ourselves there are worlds to explore. There's bodily intelligence. I was going to use the word personality, even though I know that's not appropriate. Your organs have a personality. You called it
Yeah,
a psyche, but they're alive and there's intelligence and information. And even a lot of, like, in a spiritual realm, a lot of meditation techniques now are about really going into your heart, and it's a shopping mall in there. It's huge, and you can go and feel and explore. So I really appreciate these ideas and
thank you.
what it could bring to people. And I like this idea too. You talked about before this duality of domination or dissent, and so our organs are becoming dissenting. They're protesting. They
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
protest what we're eating or how we've been stretching or living or
Absolutely, absolutely. Our organs are, in this sense, are subjects. They have a, you know, I would say, using Judith Butler expression, in a performative identification.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they make us listen.
And they make us listen, which doesn't mean just listen with the air, but listen to, feeling something, no, and and this brings us to other things, for example, dance, music, and so on, rhythm, and so on. No, these kind of things. No, rhythm is a repetition of something. At the same time, rhythm is a difference. So any rhythm, but behind the rhythm, behind the sound, there is the noise. So the enterprise, as a, so to say, the enterprise is to make the noise, to transform the noise in sound. No, this is something that deals with the word cosmosis. No, cosmosis. This word that was coined, I think, by Lewis Carroll. No, for the first time, and was used by James Joyce and Felix Guattari. Also has written a book whose title is Cosmosis. No, cosmosis. So the chaos, the noise, and the order from noise. No, Heinz von Förster. No, the order from noise. No, there is a noise that is kind of uh, ground on which we are always. No, and in some way we are trying to make sense of this chaos, but we have to respect the fact that we cannot impose our rationality to the chaos. No,
Yeah.
this is something very important because I was thinking about Foucault, for example. No, Foucault. Maybe last time I told you this, but I want to repeat it if I. Foucault talks about something that is Kant with Sad, no, in which he says, well, the Enlightenment, no, Kant is superior out, no, Kant is the one who, the Enlightenment guy, no, would say the rationality is very important, so on. Of course, of course, of course, say, but behind this, there is the idea that when the reason controls everything, when the reason is transformed in technique to control the world, to submit the world, the nature, and the humanity, and the animals, and so on, to this reason, it can become sadistic. It
Mhm.
can become something that is cruelty. And you feel this when you are in the. I was recently in the hospital different times. In the last 5 years, I was in the hospital for many intervention operations and this kind. My body was cut and suit and they did a lot of things with my body, But one thing is interesting because when you're there, you feel to be well, you have, of course, you trust doctors and so on, but at the same time, you have the feeling to be inside a castle of ceiling. The castle of ceiling is the castle in the Schwarzwald, in the
Like,
Black Forest.
yeah, yeah.
This castle in which the libertine people were, oppressing the poor people that were capped by them. No, the la société du crime, no, the society of crime. It's interesting, no?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm doing here, no?
Yeah.
Um,
And can I escape if I want to?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Happen.
That, yeah. When I was in the emergency room when there was the COVID period, no? I had COVID at a very high level, so I was here in Bergamo. My town was one of the spread, became famous for this, no? All over the world now they know Bergamo for the COVID era, no? And when I was there in the emergency room, the medical doctor woman came to me and said, "Look, you can go now to this clinic in the city." And when I realized, oh, this clinic is quite near to my house. So the first thought I had is, I can escape, I can flee and go to a house in with my pajama.
Beautiful.
This idea, strange idea.
Yeah. You could come home and grab one of the books on your shelf and
Yeah, yeah,
read.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Lovely. I guess in terms of starting to wind down, let's talk about nostalgia. Well, first of all, I'll say, like, when you think of the Middle Ages, and I thought of this when you talked about melancholia, we used to talk about the liver and bile and being lily livered, and like we had temperaments that came from different organs. And um, the, you were talking about melancholia, and then you talked about nostalgia, about the pain from looking back to what was. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nostalgia was, it is kind of, nowadays they talk about depression. Now, everything is depression, and, depression is a kind of big category that put together a lot of different kind of things, even historical things, even social things, and so on. Nostalgia was invented in the 1716 or 17, I think, century by a medical doctor who was watching at soldiers that were the mercenaries, the soldiers that were paid to come from Switzerland and Germany into Italy, and they were feeling nostalgia because because they were far from their land, and they were feeling a kind of estrangement, a kind of alienation, no? And nostalgia comes from nostos, which means coming back,
Mhm.
and algos, which means pain. So it's a pain of coming back in some way, no? The pain of coming back. But Kant was the first who said probably, well, we talk about nostalgia as a disease of the space, no? So people that from Germany and Switzerland go to Italy, the south of Italy, and feel, the pain of being abroad, of being far, and so on. And they say we can heal them when we put them, we make them come back to their place, and they realize that it is not the place, but it is the age, is the time. So when they come back to their place, uh, they realize that it is not a place. It is the fact that this place it was a place when I was a child in which I was playing, in which I was, having a fiancé, in which I was falling in love with someone, and so on, or the place of my parents, of my relatives, of my friends, and so on. But when I come back and everything is changed in this place, I say no. It, I'm feeling better, and I can go back to war. That was a Kant idea. And I
So
can go
interesting.
back.
So to burst the bubble that the same
Yeah,
exists because it doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, but it is something that my father was a military man in the Second World War, as all the people at that time, no? And he was a prisoner in Scotland. And he remained in Scotland for a long period, for 6 years.
Mhm.
He came back in 46, 1 year later, the end of the war. And he was talking to me about his period of captivity in Scotland, and lots of stories about people from Scotland, how they were gentle with him, and so on and so on. He was saying there was a guy who was um, buying uh, snap sn- grappa, Italian grappa, and he said in Scotland Italian grappa is terrible, no, but I was able to, and then the guy was gentle with them, no, so he wanted to give them some money to survive over there and so on, no, the very very situation. And I realized in my life I was you know, thinking about Scotland, Glasgow, and the surrounding of Glasgow, like a place in which there was this kind of fine, very, very nice and very fine place. And so I went there when my son was 13. We did a kind of bar mitzvah together, and we went to Scotland. And I was going for the first time in this place, no? And there was the landlord of the hotel when we were was a guy like my age, and he say, "Are you here? It's an ugly place here, but my father was kept by the Italian army in the Marche, and I did 2 years ago the same thing, and I was going to this place in the market was as ugly as this this one. So we have in mind that, this romantic idea that the place in which, my father was, and we laughed together about, about this idea, no, of coming back in a place that is a wonderful place, but actually is a normal place, or
Mm,
maybe not very very nice, because there is no sign, there is no something that you can see
yeah.
like a.
Well, in a little while, I'm going to be doing a supervision group with Christopher Kinman, who you know.
Oh, Chris.
And
Oh, say hello to Chris.
I
How is it?
will.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
is it? Fine. Is it
We've been
fine?
talking about this idea a little bit about so when you can't travel anymore, after COVID, people started traveling even more, even though we're in an ecological crisis. And I wondered if nostalgia was the right word, but doesn't seem to fit exactly. But this idea that, oh no, I might not ever be able to travel again, so I should do it now. And that fear when you get sick and the doctor told you and others you can't travel right now, that that longing and the sadness that comes up and says, what if I never get to go back to that market in Scotland? And so Chris is talking about the power and importance of imagination and how we
Yeah,
can travel in our mind and in our own world
absolutely.
to get to those beautiful romantic places because sometimes that's all we have.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. It is the same sensation I have now. Now I can restart to travel, but I am very, you know, I feel that it's not completely safe to travel. So if I have, if I am on an airplane and I have this pain and I don't have this, something like, or something like I am abroad, far away and so on. So I dare to travel inside Europe. I'm going to London in a few days. I'm going to Macerata in a few days, and so here around. But but going abroad, last time I was in Puebla before my surgery, and well, it was fantastic because over there I saw a very nice friend was Carlos Lusky, and he was 92, and it was fantastic to see him 92 traveling from Washington to Puebla. And I would like to travel again, I would like to travel again. I would like to travel again. At the same time, I don't know, crossing the ocean is a long trip and so on. When I was, something like these ideas that, as a matter of fact, that Deleuze didn't want to travel anywhere, no? And there was once that they brought him and put on the airplane to go to New York, where there was a big conference. It was the only one thing time that he was traveling abroad.
Oh, for him. I suppose that I have some kind of nostalgia for the family therapy. I'm a bit younger than some of my peers who were in the middle of it and went to all the trainings with the Milan team and interacted with Lynn Hoffman, Harlene Anderson, and really lived through the build up
Mm.
of these ideas and how it was like tree branches, all these branches of ideas and uh, therapeutic practices. And it was such a rich time. And so when I, come and talk to you and other people, I think I have that some kind of nostalgia in the more colloquial version of it to
Uh,
to connect with what was going on and these beautiful beautiful ideas because like you say today therapies become so technological like you said about CBT. It's just like we just got to fix this person and
and
um
now systemic people now are taking this all these kind of techniques, EMDR and so on, Now, yes, these kind of things, la bêtise, no, the stupidity. La bêtise, these kind of things, because they have to sell on the market something that is evidence based. We were talking just yesterday with someone in English about the fact that I know, yes, today, this morning, I was with Nicole Ascoli at a lesson of my school. She's teaching now at my school over there, and she was telling now everything is evidence. So there is evidence, and she was making an example about a kind of mm, transmission on the TV set in the United Kingdom, in which there is a kind of Big Brother, something like this. And she was analyzing the conversation, and they said there is evidence, there is evidence. The word evidence now is the mainstream word. So every three words we say evidence.
Yeah.
And so the govern of the evidence, we have to descend with the evidence. We have to affirm that there is no evidence in what we do.
No, it's kind of a manipulation of research to pretend that there is. Like again, we'll put it in this small box and say that it repeated itself. And yeah, and we can fund it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you,
always
Cathy.
so delighted to talk with
I
you.
appreciate very much your interview and your conversation. And whenever I'm eager to come. Okay.
Okay.
And say hello to Chris, because it is a long time that we didn't see each other, and I remember him very, very well, and with my heart. Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you. Well, I know that he will listen to this with interest and pleasure. So take good care, and until the next time we talk, I say, yeah, ciao.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye.